It was a key that didn't belong, tucked under the mat like an invitation to something I never should have found. I had been driving for hours, my eyes barely able to stay open, the steady hum of the road becoming a lullaby. I needed a place to crash just for the night before the next stretch of the journey. I wasn't picky. Motel signs were a beacon in the darkness, and I found one that looked well acceptable. The neon lights flickered overhead as I pulled into the parking lot of a tired roadside motel. The place looked worn out, its once vibrant paint peeling and faded. But it was the kind of place I knew would be cheap, no frills, and certainly no complaints. I stumbled inside, dragging my suitcase, exhausted beyond belief. The front desk was eerily quiet, no bell, no clerk behind the counter. Just a yellowing piece of paper that read, "Please ring the bell for assistance." I rang it. Nothing. I rang it again, louder this time. Eventually, a man appeared from a hallway, his eyes half-lidded as though he'd just woken up. He didn't say a word as he handed me a key. A simple brass key on a faded keychain, the number 10 etched into the metal. "Room 10. Enjoy your stay," he mumbled before disappearing back down the hall. I should have been more cautious, but I was too tired to think much of it. The door to room 10 creaked open when I tried the handle, and I entered. The room was small, dimly lit, with a musty smell hanging in the air. The bed was covered in a cheap stained quilt, and a lamp beside the bed cast a faint yellow glow. I sighed, throwing my bag onto the bed and tossing my coat on the back of the chair. As I glanced around the room, I noticed something odd, a key, tucked under the doormat. I knelt down, my hand brushing against the worn fibers. And there it was, another key, this one looking older and more worn than the one I'd just been given. Curious, I picked it up. It didn't have a room number on it. Just a strange old-fashioned design that didn't match the rest of the motel. My first instinct was to leave it, but I couldn't help but feel a strange pull, an urge to know where it belonged. I turned the key over in my hand, inspecting it. That's when the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. The door to room 10 had been slightly ajar when I came in, and now, as I stood there holding this strange key, I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. I tried to ignore the creeping unease that was slowly making its way down my spine. Without thinking, I walked down the hallway, key in hand. The faint smell of cigarette smoke lingered in the air, and the dim lights above flickered, casting odd shadows. I reached room 11, right next door to mine, and with a sudden surge of adrenaline, I inserted the key into the lock. It turned easily. The door creaked open, revealing a room that looked completely untouched, yet somehow abandoned. The smell of dust was overpowering. The furniture inside was old, yet meticulously arranged. An unmade bed sat in the corner, its sheets slightly yellowed. On the bedside table, a faded photo frame lay face down, and a dusty old rocking chair sat beside the window. The chair. It was the chair that immediately caught my attention. It sat there by the window, still, quiet, its wooden frame dark and worn from years of use. But then it moved. Just slightly. At first, I thought I was imagining it, the shadows playing tricks on my tired eyes. But no. The chair moved again, creaking under an invisible weight. Back and forth. Slowly. I stepped forward, my heart pounding in my chest. My mind raced. What the hell was going on here? I turned back toward the bed. Something felt wrong, as if the room itself was watching me, waiting for me to make the next move. The silence was unbearable, pressing in on me, thickening the air until I felt like I couldn't breathe. I turned to leave, but as I reached for the doorknob, the floorboards behind me creaked slowly, as if someone was stepping on them. I froze. No one was in the room. I spun around, my pulse racing. The rocking chair moved again, more violently this time. The sound was unnerving, like the bones of a corpse cracking, stretching. And then, as if in response to my terror, the door slammed shut with a force that made the walls shake. I rushed to open it, but the handle wouldn't budge. The room seemed to close in on me, and I felt the weight of it, the heaviness of something unseen lurking in the corners. I was trapped. I frantically searched the room for another exit. Nothing. The window was sealed shut with thick black grime, and the only light was the faint glow coming through the cracks in the door. The rocking chair was still moving, faster now, as if it were mocking me. I shouted for help, my voice echoing off the walls, but no one came. As I backed into the corner, I caught a glimpse of something in the photo frame on the nightstand. Hesitant, I approached it, my breath catching in my throat as I lifted it to see the faded image of a family. Their faces blurred, but their smiles unmistakably sinister. The man in the picture looked like the night clerk. The door finally flew open, and I bolted out of the room, my heart hammering in my chest. The hallway was silent again, just as empty as it had been when I first arrived. I never looked back. The next morning, I checked out without saying a word to the clerk. As I drove away, I glanced in the rearview mirror, and for a split second, I thought I saw someone watching me from the window of room 11. But when I looked again, it was gone, and I've never gone near that motel again. The key? I tossed it into the nearest trash can the moment I left the town. But to this day, I can still hear that chair rocking in my nightmares.